Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
It feels fantastic out there this morning. Our dew point's way down at 49, making it feel refreshing. I'll show you how many days we'll have this lovely weather pattern with us.
One person is dead and another is in custody after a police chase led to a crash on this stretch of US 301 in Cumberland County. Coming up, I'm going to show you the car police say the suspect was driving.
And WRAL is following breaking news from overnight. A man is dead after a shooting at a Carborough apartment complex. What we're learning about that police investigation.
The jury in former President Trump's hush money trial returns to work in just a few hours. A look ahead to their second day of deliberations as they get closer to a historic verdict. It is 6 o'clock. A lot to tell you about here on this Thursday morning. We're waking up with another gorgeous sunrise. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Chris Levin, getting in for Jeff Hogan. Beautiful palette of colors we're seeing. Some reds, some oranges, some yellows today. I match it today, nice. As Renee pointed out during the break. Elizabeth Gardner looking right now over at downtown Raleigh, and a beautiful day is on deck for us.
Gorgeous day, and we're going to see several of these in a row. But we're about to head right into summer, so it's not going to last. And just enjoy it while we have it. A little light breeze here at the Legislative Building. You see the flags moving just slowly, and this gorgeous orange glow that of course does match Chris's tie this morning. 60 degrees currently. We may drop it on down into the upper 50s by 7 a.m. 49 is our dew point, which is unusually low. That just makes it feel lovely outside. We have a complete lack of any humidity out there with a dew point at 49. It's 59 right now in Southern Pines, 54 in Roxborough, 56 in South Hill, but elsewhere temperatures are mostly in the low 60s with some mid 60s in our southern counties right now. We'll see a high of 81 this afternoon, which is a little bit below normal. I'll show you when our temperatures start to creep closer to 90 again. Coming up, Anthony.
Elizabeth, as we head out to the roads this morning, one big problem spot for us over the past half an hour or so has been I-540. This is heading westbound. This camera's looking from Honeycutt Road. It's right around the Falls of Noose Road area, though, and they did have all three of those lanes completely closed. They since have opened there, that far left one. So for our radio listeners, if you're headed out this morning, if you can go to that far left lane, you may be able to get through there with just a little bit of a delay. Looking like that is since opening, though, at least that left lane. Another accident or crash to tell you about South Saunders Street at Carolina Pines Avenue. No major delays with that one, but we will continue to watch that 540 crash here going through this morning.
Anthony, thanks. Part of US 301 is back open after a stretch was shut down for hours after a chase ended in a deadly crash. This happened on Tom Starling Road just outside Fayetteville. Nick Perlin is there in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. And Nick, that road just opened a short time ago.
Renee, that's right. It opened about 30 minutes ago, and it obviously you can see traffic flowing now, but very different from what it looked like just a couple hours ago when police were investigating this crash after a police chase. Now, I do want to show you this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, and you can see this car on a tow truck. Now, this is the car police say the person who was arrested was driving, and you can just see the extensive damage to this car. Police say they tried to pull over the driver of this car because they thought it was stolen. At that point, the driver sped away from police and ended up crashing on US 301 near Tom Starling Road. The driver crashed into another car. We know one person was ejected from this car and died. The driver was arrested and taken to the hospital along with another passenger. Now, we are told the driver in the other car that was involved in the crash is going to be okay, but in the meantime, we're still trying to learn the identity of not only the driver who was arrested, but also the person in that car who was killed. Once we have more information, we'll be sure to update you. Live in Cumberland County, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
And we continue to follow breaking news in Carborough this morning. A man is dead after a shooting at an apartment complex. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is at the Carborough Police Department. Kelsey, at one point we saw a lot of officers there, but things have changed in the last few hours.
Chris, the scene cleared at about 4:30 this morning. Investigators are now here inside of the police department searching to find that shooter. We'll give you a look now at video from when police were outside of this apartment complex on Estes Drive for over 5 hours. They received a call about this shooting around 11:45 last night. When they arrived at the complex, they found a man shot to death. Now, right now, police believe this was an isolated incident. We're working to find out the name of the man who died and whether police have any information about that shooter. We'll be sure to keep you updated as we find out more. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Carborough.
Today, we expect 6 people arrested during the pro-Palestinian protests in UNC to be in court. The 6 people were arrested during clashes with police on April 30th. 3 of them were UNC students at the time. Some students were banned from campus after the protests. The people facing charges are due to face a judge today. That'll happen at the Orange County Courthouse in Hillsborough. Organizers from UNC's Students for Justice in Palestine say they plan to rally in a call for these charges to be dropped.
Jurors in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial will return to deliberations at 9:30 this morning. They deliberated for more than 4 hours yesterday. During that time, they asked for some testimony from witnesses Michael Cohen and David Pecker to be read back. Trump said after Wednesday's proceedings that the trial is very unfair. His legal team is calling for the court to expedite a hearing for his appeal of a gag order in the case. It prohibits the former president from speaking out about witnesses and others involved in the trial.
Police in Durham say someone shot a man during an armed robbery at a gas station. This happened at the BP on Durham Chapel Hill Boulevard just after 9:30 last night. Police are saying the man who was shot was taken to the hospital, but he's expected to recover. At last check, no arrests have been announced.
Schools in Fayetteville, Spring Lake, and Hope Mills are rushing to fill safety positions. The sheriff's office says it will no longer provide them with school resource officers or crossing guards. The change will go into effect June 1st. Records show the sheriff's office provides 34 SROs and 98 crossing guards to Cumberland County schools. The school system will need to replace 18 SROs and 31 crossing guards. The responsibility will now go to local agencies. The Hope Mills police chief says it will cause an extreme burden on already limited manpower.
In Hope Mills, we have 7 schools, so we would have to come up with SROs to fill those vacancies if the town, and I want to be clear, if the town decides to go in that direction.
Hope Mills will have a public meeting today to figure out its next steps. The sheriff's office invited the school system and police departments to a meeting next Thursday. We will have a link to Cumberland County Schools' presentation about these changes on WRAL.com.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, incredible video of an active volcano right now in Iceland. This is currently erupting in Grindavik. It has been active. It erupted yesterday for the 5th time since December. It is spewing red lava toward the town of Grindavik. It also led to the evacuation of that popular Blue Lagoon geothermal spa. Grindavik is near Iceland's capital of Reykjavik. It's about 30 miles from there. But barriers have been built to protect the town of Grindavik, deflecting that flowing lava. Workers and anybody still in that town has been ordered to leave.
Michelle, thank you. Durham City Council will meet today to further discuss a proposed budget that includes pay increases for city employees. It also includes money for capital improvement projects. This is the second day of in-person meetings to go over this budget. Today's work session will begin at 9 a.m. That'll happen at the City Hall Committee Room. It'll be live streamed to the city's YouTube channel, and a public hearing is scheduled for next Monday at 7 p.m.
Protesters in Durham calling for a ceasefire in Gaza are upping their efforts. More than 100 people gathered for a rally in Durham last night. The demonstration comes after an Israeli airstrike killed dozens of civilians at a refugee camp in Rafah. U.S. military leaders say that attack did not cross the red line the Biden administration says would end funding to Israel. Protesters disagree.
Clearly, the red line has been obliterated, and we are demanding that there be a limit. Israel can't just do anything they want with our tax dollars.
And you may have noticed many protesters wore red, symbolizing the Biden administration's so-called red line. Another delay is on the horizon for the VinFast factory in Chatham County. Reuters is reporting the electric vehicle maker is considering pushing its planned operations beyond 2025. This would be the second delay that we know of. VinFast has also downsized its factory footprint from the original plans by 19%. A VinFast representative says the company is conducting a thorough review and evaluation of all aspects of the construction process for our North Carolina factory.
A crash involving a sheriff's deputy was very intense. What authorities say led to the cruiser being hit and flipped over.
An unusual sight on a highway near Myrtle Beach. A plane touches down while cars speed by. What forced the pilot to make that emergency landing?
And it feels refreshing when you step out the door this morning. We have some gorgeous weather in the forecast up through around Saturday or Sunday. And then the changes arrive. I'll show you what's going to happen with our weather pattern as we get into early next week.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
612, beautiful sunrise just in progress right here in Clinton. Now, hardly a cloud in the sky. Looks gorgeous. It feels fantastic. Our temperatures are in the mid to upper 50s to low 60s, depending on where you are. It's 54 right now in Lewisburg, but then it's 66 degrees in Goldsboro. Of course, the farther north you go, the cooler it is. It's 56 in South Hill, 59 in Tarboro, and 59 in Southern Pines right now, 65 in Fayetteville. But the big thing that you'll notice when you step out the door is it doesn't feel humid. Our dew point's way down in the 40s this morning. The kids at the bus stop, if they have to stand around in their shorts and t-shirts for long, they might get a little bit cool. So maybe a light long sleeve shirt just for this morning. By lunchtime, 77 degrees. And as the kids are coming home from school, we'll be in the low 80s, feeling fantastic. Anthony?
Elizabeth, as we head out to the roads this morning, one big problem spot for us has been I-540 heading westbound. This is just past Falls of Neuse Road. In fact, we do have the WRAL breaking news tracker out there. You can see, of course, a big scene. We have a car that's kind of on its roof right there, and they're trying to make some progress getting this cleaned up. If you are headed in this direction, if you're listening to us on the radio, for instance, this morning, if you can get in that far left lane, that is the only one that's open right now. They have the fire trucks, the emergency equipment in those far two right lanes. So just keep that in mind. It is causing some delays, but thankfully, since that left lane is now open, we've seen a little bit of progress. We will continue to watch this, though, here as we go through this morning.
Thank you, Anthony. Federal authorities say they have taken down what could be the largest cybercrime network of its kind ever, and it may have been using your computer, too. The Department of Justice says it arrested the network's creator in Singapore. The network of malware-infected computers included more than 19 million unique IP addresses across the globe. That includes more than 600,000 in the United States. Authorities say criminals bought access to this network, and this led to them defrauding the United States government out of almost $6 billion in pandemic relief funds.
An engine failure forced a small plane to make an emergency landing on a highway near Myrtle Beach. 2 people were on board at the time. Authorities say the plane landed safely yesterday on Highway 501 in Carolina Forest near Myrtle Beach. The plane belongs to Lift Academy Flight School. A spokesperson for the academy says the plane was on a maintenance flight. No one was hurt and the plane was not damaged.
Authorities in South Korea are taking a closer look at balloons filled with trash being sent over the border from North Korea. The South Korean military detected more than 150 balloons floating from the early Wednesday morning. Now, they say that the balloons are filled with filth and with garbage. Some of the balloons broke open and spilled trash onto roads and sidewalks.
The town of Apex is celebrating $1.9 million in federal funding to complete a sewer interceptor project. Funding was secured through a bipartisan government funding package signed into law by President Biden in March. U.S. Representatives Wiley Nickel and Deborah Ross will host a news conference with Apex Mayor Jacques Gilbert and other community leaders. That meeting starts at 10 at the Apex Commerce Center.
Intense video shows the moment a sheriff's deputy patrol vehicle got T-boned in California. Look at your screen here. This happened in Santa Clarita yesterday. Dash cam video captured right there the patrol car driving through the intersection when another car crashed into it. The force sent the patrol car into the air, and it flipped multiple times before landing upright. A deputy and 2 other people were injured in this case, but it's unclear what charges could be filed.
Veterans no longer have to pay co-pays for some outpatient mental health care and substance use disorder appointments. The first 3 visits each calendar year will be covered. The benefit goes through 2027 to improve access to mental health services and to decrease out-of-pocket costs.
North Carolina U.S. Senator Ted Budd is pushing to make the Blue Ridge Parkway a National Historic Landmark. He visited a couple of the popular overlooks yesterday. That includes 3 Knobs and Black Mountain. This year, Senator Budd encouraged the Department of Interior to make the Blue Ridge Parkway a National Historic Landmark. The designation would open up opportunities to get funding, federal funding that is, to maintain the parkway.
This morning on Today, Al Roker's incredible day at NASA's Johnson Space Center. He experiences a day in the life of the Artemis II crew as they prepare for their historic mission to orbit around the moon. And one of those astronauts, you may recognize her, North Carolina's own Christina Cook. Check out Al's out of this world adventure this morning at 7 on Today, right here on WRAL.
Several professionals are helping kids in our area learn how to golf. Tuesday night, pro golfers played in this week's UNC Health Championship. They were helping to coach kids at a clinic. And here's some video that was shared with us. A local professional, Doc Redmond, who grew up in Raleigh and went to Leesville Road High School, was even there to help out.
Looked like gorgeous weather for golf, and today would just be as nice as well. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Low humidity at this time of year. What a gift.
It really is. You know, you don't get that often, but we do have several days in a row to enjoy this gorgeous weather. Pretty start here in Goldsboro with the sun coming up there. Hardly a cloud in the sky anywhere this morning. We take a live look at Apex, and of course Chapel Hill is clear this morning with all that sunshine from Top of the Hill restaurant, and it looks pretty there in Fayetteville as well, right there on Hay Street in front of our newsroom. Here's a look at the big picture. So we're looking at a cold front that shifted offshore. Behind that front, our wind is coming out of the northwest. There's a high pressure system way up around the Great Lakes, and that is feeding this comfortable air into our region. Now, the stationary front down south will eventually begin to lift northward, and will shift our wind direction to southwesterly as we get into early next week. That's going to feed some additional moisture into our area, so we're going to lose this lovely feeling air mass. Nothing to see really on Futurecast until we get to this evening. A little band of clouds comes swinging through with a quick sprinkle possible around 10 or 11 o'clock. Other than that, we don't have any rain in our forecast, hardly, all the way into early next week. So what's going on here? We have a big dip or a trough in the jet stream, and it's sitting right across the East Coast, and that's allowing this cool, dry air to filter in. And this is just a pattern that we don't see very often this time of year. This is more of a winter-like pattern. It's not feeling like winter, but it is feeling delightful for the end of May, early June. It digs a little farther south for tomorrow, so we'll see even cooler, even drier air for Friday. But then by Saturday, that trough starts to shift eastward and out into the Atlantic. We'll start to see more of a ridge building. It's going to start to tap into some of this moisture and push that into North Carolina slowly over the weekend and into early next week. 79 for tomorrow, 83 Saturday, 85 on Sunday. You can see the temperature continues to climb. We stay nice and dry. However, you may need to start watering your lawn. We're looking fine in terms of drought in our area. A little bit of abnormally dry conditions there in northeastern North Carolina. The drought monitor does come out a little later on today. I would expect it to stay just like that. Hopefully it will. We're looking at about normal potential for rain for the next several weeks, but we're looking at a better chance of above normal temperatures that second week of June, while below normal temperatures stay up to our north and west. Normal is 85. We'll see that on Sunday, and then those highs continue to climb as we get into early next week. Anthony?
That is looking like a beautiful forecast, Elizabeth. As we head out to the roads, though, this morning, unfortunately, things are looking a little bit active for us. This is a look from the WRAL breaking news tracker. I-540 westbound is where we're tracking this problem spot. In fact, you can see they're making some progress trying to get that vehicle up on the tow truck. That was on its roof, though, here in the past 10 minutes. So this is definitely a serious crash. The eastbound lane's looking like they're doing okay, but the left lane is the only one that's open for I-540 westbound. If you can go all the way to that left lane, that's where we're going to see at least a little bit of progress. We bring it back here and show you kind of some other problem spots across the area. As far as our delays are concerned, they're looking pretty good, about zero there across the board for I-40 rather. Another crash, though, to our south. That's right around South Saunders Street. Everything else looking pretty good here across the city of Raleigh. We will continue to watch it, though, here through this morning.
Thank you, Anthony. The deadline for Boeing to address its safety and quality concerns, it's here. The report is expected to give to federal investigators today after a series of scary problems on flights.
Moana and Maui are back for another go on the big screen. A closer look at the upcoming sequel coming up in What's Trending.
And here's a closer look at your winning lottery numbers.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
Well, this morning in What's Trending, Moana 2.
Yeah, Disney giving us our first look with this trailer.
All right.
The ocean is calling her once again. Moana and Maui are back, voiced by returning stars Ali'i Carvalho and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The movie will be in theaters on November 27th. That's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving weekend, so big movie weekend. And when it was first released, 2016, the original was also Thanksgiving weekend, too.
I'm gonna try to give the first one another go. I didn't.
It's worth it.
I didn't care for it the first time. We'll give it a go again.
I mean, Moana's a very likable character.
I know, that's why
strong heroine.
Somebody is waking up this morning going,
songs.
what? Like, I will try it again. I promise you, I will try it again. All right, Ellen DeGeneres is stopping in the Triangle during her final comedy tour. She'll perform at the Durham Performing Arts Center on August 7th. It's part of the tour that she is calling Ellen's Last Stand-Up, and tickets go on sale tomorrow, and she's said to have been addressing that situation. Obviously, there was the report about toxicity on the Ellen Show behind the scenes, and something a lot of people were talking about, a little surprised to hear about as well.
Yeah, well, but she has a strong fan base, and I'm sure a lot of people will still want to hear her on the last tour, she says. Well, this weekend on WRAL, the USA's top gymnasts will be trying to get one step closer to qualifying for the Paris Olympics. The U.S. Gymnastics Men's Championship airs Sunday afternoon at 3 on WRAL. After that, you can catch the Women's Championship. That will be at 7. This is the final qualifying event before the 2024 Olympic team trials next month.
Well, this is something interesting to see on an MLB field. A player's doggy got into the infield and interrupted a pregame workout. The dog, named Harley, belongs to Matt Chapman of the San Francisco Giants. Harley got a little excited by a baseball and ran after it while the opposing Phillies were warming up. I mean, he thought it was fetch, right? Play the dog. Everyone was a good sport about it, especially Harley. Good doggy.
Live After 5 returned to downtown Raleigh last night. The theme, a celebration of women in music. Music lovers went to Fayetteville Street. They were greeted by ideal weather. Live After 5 is a sip and stroll friendly block party with live music, vendors, and food trucks. There's one scheduled each month through the end of summer, so go catch it if you love live music.
A police chase leads to a deadly crash along US 301 in Cumberland County. Coming up at 6:30, I'm going to tell you everything that we know that led to this crash.
And we have such a beautiful day ahead, starting with a gorgeous sunrise here in Sanford. I'll show you why it feels so cool and uncomfortable outside and how long that will last.
In breaking news overnight in Carrboro, a man is dead after a shooting at an apartment complex. What we know about that police investigation this morning.